And welcome back, everyone. I'm going to give you 3 quick tips to help you take care of your gated manual R8 car. First tip, adjust your manual shift cables every year. Here's why. These shift cables, they stretch, and if they stretch, once they stretch out, they will actually pull this entire shift rod out of alignment and out of neutral. So over time, these cables will, in fact, pull your shift forks off to one side of the shift collar, thereby putting premature wear on your shift forks as well as your shift collars. Over time, these things will prematurely wear out, and by that time, no matter how many times you adjust your shift cables, your forks and or your shift collars will have already worn out. And now I've talked with owners who have had issues with this, and yes, sometimes you just need to adjust these shift cables. Other times you actually end up having to rebuild the transmission, or if you have a warranty, guess what? They're actually going to replace the entire transmission. So therefore, that's a quick tip. I'm going to quickly show you how you will adjust your shift cables like so. Step 1, make sure that this shifter is in neutral right here. Step 2, get a drill bit and put this inside this neutral holder here. So this actually helps the entire transmission stay in neutral when you're adjusting the shift cables. Next off, you need to unlock these 2 springs that is connecting the shifter ends like so. You take this part here and you pull this down and then turn it counterclockwise to lock the spring so it won't go back and clasp onto the end of the shift cable like so. Now make sure that this is really in the center in both the horizontal and the vertical axis when it comes to neutral. So make sure that this is really centered. Now you can get a person to help you by holding this down in neutral while you go back into the back of the car and lock on the cable ends with those springs. So now we're in the back of the car. Let's assume that you have someone in the front holding down that shift knob, and all you have to do is release these 2 clips here by turning the knob clockwise, and then you'll be able to go ahead and take off this bit out of the neutral hole. Of course, I do have to mention this to anyone. Change your transmission fluid. This goes for any transmission every 3 years or 30,000 miles. If you want this to shift as smoothly as well as the day you got your car, I recommend you just change the transmission fluid, because over time there are metal particles that will just build up as the gears grind, as the synchros grind, and it's just gonna build up all of this junk and gunk that will lead to degradation of the performance of your transmission. Now, people will say, well, Audi and all these other manufacturers say that these transmission fluids, yeah, they're good for the life of the transmission. What it really means is, yes, the transmission will function. However, if you want your transmission to perform well, change your transmission. And it's really simple on this transmission here. Let's see, there are 2 nuts that you just need to handle. One is the fill nut here, and the other one is the drain nut, as you can see right here. Drain this and then fill this up for 3.5 to 4 liters of GL4 spec transmission fluid. Now, if you decide to go and get an aftermarket transmission fluid such as MT90 from Redline, make sure to add an LS additive, meaning a limited slip additive, because these transactionals have a limited slip differential, and you want to add an additive that will allow the LSD to slip efficiently. Next thing to know is to talk about the seal here. This seal here will eventually leak due to the heat coming from the exhaust. Right here, as well as right here. There is no natural heat shield that covers the seal here. And if you could zoom in right here, this is a seal that prevents oil from leaking from within the transmission. And I've seen people have leaks due to the heat coming from the exhaust. So what people have done is to wrap a piece of aluminum foil, like heat shield foil, around and up top of the shifter here to help prevent excessive heat from drying out this rubber seal. And I got this heat shield foil from Mishimoto on Amazon. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do a rough cut with tin snips and then shape and mold the shield around the top of this shifter here. And you can see here, here's the final result for this fabrication for this heat shield. You can see I've used 2 of the mounting points for the mechanical actuator. And you can see here, it covers almost the entire shift unit, especially the seal that goes right here. And as a bonus, I've also been able to cover the backup lamp switch as well. And this actually looks pretty good. It's nice and evenly cut, and it's easy because I just use scissors. And I'll be able to go and protect this seal here that would eventually leak if I had not covered this with a heat shield. Well, there we have it. These are the top 3 tips I have to maintain your manual transmission. 1 is to readjust your shift cables annually. Number 2, install a heat shield for your selector to protect that seal up front here. And then number 3 is to, of course, just change your manual transmission every 3 years or 30,000 miles. And if you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like and subscribe.